So same format this week for the weekend roundup, but different personnel with our club captain, Steve Silk, doing the look back for us. So Steve, 1 win from 5 this week. So how would you sum up the weekend?
Probably much in the same way that you would, Wardy. A weekend that offered a lot and delivered not as much as we would have liked. It was a frustrating weekend, and I'd say that probably for the majority of players who were involved in it, because I think in all 5 fixtures, at the halfway point in all of the games, you'd probably, if you'd have had a confident and well-performed second half, then we probably have had more victories than we did. We were very much in games at the halfway point. So yeah, it is slightly disappointing. Well, no, it's very disappointing actually to only get away from 1 win from 5. But we go again next week, and we learn on some of the things that have happened this week.
Is there anything in particular? We've had 1 week where we've talked about 4 wins from 6. It's tended to be the kind of 2 from 6 when we've done this roundup. Is there anything in particular you think that's going to turn that momentum and turn that tide?
There's a couple of things. One is it's an age-old problem, as we know, and I think with a club that has multiple teams, a significant number of teams, it's always a challenge in terms of getting the same names or a similar team out week in, week out. We had the issue this week, sadly, where it's the second week we didn't have a 6-11 playing, and as a consequence of that, players have moved up through into teams that are higher than potentially what they normally would play in. It's great experience for those players, especially the younger ones who therefore get to play in a higher team than normal. But what it does do is it causes a real challenge for you to maintain the standard at that level of cricket in which you're playing. But in saying that, whilst recognising people are possibly playing a team higher than what they normally would do, the teams, as I said, at the halfway point were still in many of those games on Saturday. And I still think we can look back and still see some great junior performances during those games. What we need to do, going back to answer your question as to what's going to change things, I think there was a consistency across those 5 teams on Saturday around batting. And I think people just need to enjoy batting. I think people just need to hit balls, take a bit of pressure off them, and just go out there and enjoy themselves. As a batter myself, and you'll remember this as well, you almost got to be selfish. You've just got to bat out there and bat as long as you possibly can. And if people bat for longer periods of times, then inevitably you're going to be in the game at the end. What we're doing is we're losing too many wickets too early, and that's across all of our teams, and therefore the batters within the teams just need to stand up a little bit more and spend some more time at the crease.
I'm going to thank you there for referencing me as a batter. We'll quickly move on from that. Just touching quickly on yourself. So 2 weeks ago scored a 50. Last Saturday not playing. Did Will just drop you? What happened?
No, unfortunately, I've had a couple of 50s now back to back, and unfortunately, the second one last Saturday, the groin went, the hernia. Well, yeah, now I find out that it's supposed to be a sporting hernia. So, unfortunately, whilst feeling very good nick, I'm now sidelined for a few weeks, and spent a little bit of time in hospital at the start of this week.
Well, wish you all the best for that. So, Ken, obviously, we want you back out there playing. We'll come back and we'll chat to you about the week ahead. Ollie, we'll get to the game and the innings in a minute, but I'm sure the thing people are most interested in finding out from last week is, did you win the golf?
No, Nathan beat me by 3 shots, mate.
better luck at the weekend though. So another 50 to your name on Saturday for the seconds.
Yeah, so becoming an occurrence now.
Absolutely, a regular occurrence. Our call. How did the innings go?
Yeah, it was all right. It was quite different to last week. Slow at the start because we had lost quite a few early wickets, and then started to pick up. But once again, I can't seem to get past the 51 mark, mate. I think it's a bit of my stumbling block just there.
And how about the game itself? Obviously, the wrong end of the result with the defeat. Was that a fair reflection, would you say, on the game?
Yeah, annoying, really. Again, we sort of let the openers get off to a decent start again, but we pulled it back really well in the middle, restricting them to 190, which was definitely a gettable total. But unfortunately, we just didn't have it batting wise. A couple of sort of unlucky dismissals, and yeah, we ended up sort of 40 odd runs shy, I think, in the end. But definitely a game we could have won. I don't think they were particularly necessarily like better than us, so bit of a shame.
And we've talked about a fair few positives from the games, even though there's been defeats, but a few defeats now for the twos. What's going to turn it around, do you think? What's going to be the difference?
Batting, I think, mainly just getting some more runs. I think obviously we missed Silky last week as well. He was away, but you know, just people getting their heads down, making some runs, you know, and I'm sure we'll get back and get some wins on the way. I know that Alex is back this week as well, so that's another man at the top of the order, which yeah, hopefully will give us a chance to make a few more runs.
So Guy, 50 runs on Saturday. 55 to be precise. Talk us through your innings.
Yeah, okay, so we were playing against Elstoke at their ground. It's a beautiful ground, very good wicket, bit of a green top, but it was absolutely solid. They're two good openers. One's particularly quick, especially for our standard, and the other one was just nibbling it around a bit. The quick bowler made some pretty heavy inroads. I was batting at number 2. We lost a couple of quick wickets early on, and then we struggled thereafter to really build a platform. So I just kind of hung around a bit. I wasn't really scoring runs well against them at that point. I was just trying to keep my wicket. Got a bit lucky really, because I spent most of my time at the other end watching everyone get skittled by the quick guy. I think I only actually faced about 6 balls of his, but that's a win in my book. But yeah, so hung around till after drinks. I think it was probably about the 26th, 28th over when I shouldered arms to an off spinner who finally got one to rip. Outside off came in and took my stumps, which was a bit frustrating. So it was only 55. It was a start. Should have gone on to get more really, but we posted a total of around 130, which is probably more than we were expecting when we started losing the wickets early on. So we steadied the ship, and then we had other batsmen came in and contributed after that. But generally not a good day for the team with the bat. It's a shame we lost, but I think the game was good, and we definitely put in some work in field as well. So it was a fun game. It was one that you come away from thinking that we may have lost, but at least actually the team was trying. It wasn't a wasted Saturday. So yeah. And
how about you? You've been feeling good this season?
I've not had too many scores this season. I've been struggling a bit. So that was good to finally dust off some runs and get something on the average at least. Yeah, it was good. I think that the main takeaway from me was it was the first innings where I've actually just settled in and just stopped caring about the runs on the board and just stayed in for time. And then before you know it, a couple of bad balls have come your way, and you're 25 on the board already, and you didn't even notice it. So yeah, a bit of a learning point for me. It's something I have to learn every year, but I'm glad I've got it out the way now. So fingers crossed for future innings. It'll just be a case of spending time at the crease and just forgetting about the runs.
Chris, another weekend roundup and another appearance for you. I think we should note, first of all, that this is 3-2 to you now over Josh.
Yeah. Well, I want to try and keep that keep ahead of him, but I'd like him to catch me up as well. So hopefully this weekend he'll be back in there. Yeah, good. He had a weekend off anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So the pressure's back on him now. But this week it was with the ball, so 4 wickets for yourself. Happy with your bowling?
No, I'm very happy with it. Yeah, no, I'm always a change bowler. I don't like to have the new ball, so I usually come in when it's when we're beginning to need to take a few wickets. So yeah, this week I got the 2 top scorers out. They had a guy who I only saw afterwards. He was on 98 when I got him out, so I was quite pleased about that. He was way above the standard of the game. He was a good player, smashing it all over the place. So no, glad to get him out. They only had 10 men, so I was hoping for a fifer, but no, ran out of people to get out. So no, but we had some well, I suppose this week we were struggling a little bit on bowlers. We had being bank holiday week, there were a lot of people throughout the club missing, so we actually unfortunately had to cancel or forfeit our sixes game. So we had a few sixes players, but it was nice to try out a couple of bowlers that I've not had in my side. So I haven't, although I know them, I haven't seen their bowling recently. So Lily Lloyd, Ottie I'd seen for 1 week, Ottie Brown and Tom Bates. So it was good to see how their bowling was, and they, you know, they stepped up. Tom was happy to open the bowling, did well. He got hit around a little bit, but he did well and took a wicket. So I'm really glad, you know, stepping up first time round as an under 15 into the fives. He took a wicket, which was excellent. Ottie took a wicket fairly early on in her bowling, so she bowled really well again. And Lily bowled nicely as well. She didn't get a wicket, but she bowled really well as well. So. And the other bowler who actually I was only told afterwards by Ian that it was his first balls he bowled this season at all, Dom Lycett. It was a windy day, and I asked him whether he could bowl some floaty ones into the wind, which he said, yeah, he'd give it a go, and he did, and it worked really well. He took a couple of wickets, so he bowled 8.5 overs actually, and bowled really excellently, a bit of leg spin there. So that was a good option having him there. So from a bowling, we perhaps could have done with another, you know, Lakers or someone like that as a regular seamer just to bolster it up a bit. But everybody stepped up to the mark, and that was, you know, really good. They got 220, so a decent score, lovely pitch. It's great playing up at SPYE Park. They got a decent score, and I thought, golly, we're going to struggle a bit here. One of the reasons being is that Wayne Wazza Young injured his hand again, so we were without our opening batsman. So I thought this is going to be a real struggle. Asked Dom if he's happy to open. You'll be doubtless speaking to Dom anyway, and he said yeah. And I hadn't realised actually he prefers opening to batting him at 4 or 5, which is what I've been batting him as. And he stepped right up to the mark. I mean, he started off with very early on with a glorious cover drive, fantastic shot. He looked really stylish batsman. So, but you'll be talking to him, so I won't say any more about that. But you know, he'll be opening again in my eyes. So, and then Rich Callaway. He's been unlucky with runs this year, but this week was his week. He didn't quite get to 50, but he batted really well, really nicely. And then Cuz does what he does fairly regularly. I'm looking at the scorebook here, he got 46 in his usual style. Unfortunately for him, he decided to get out on the last ball of their best bowler. If only he'd known what was coming after that, he could have gone on and get well in excess of 50, and we probably would have won then. So, but he batted really well as well. So, yeah, I didn't do it with the bat this time. I should have done, silly me. But yeah, so we didn't quite make it. We got to 190, so we were sort of 30 runs short, unfortunately. So, but no, good game and lovely place to play. Really nice place to play.
Yeah, definitely. And it's good to hear so many positives, even coming off the wrong side of the results. And I guess we are putting that call out to Josh then this weekend. So watch this space, to see if you can make it 3-all.
Yeah. Hope so. Well, it might be 4-3 to me, but yeah.
Dom, great to have you on the weekend roundup. And the reason being, you scored 50 on Saturday for the 15. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, it was the second innings. We were chasing a decently large total, and they had a good opener, so it was kind of just about sticking around and just staying at a good enough rate just to start with Rich. I think.
And you open the batting, is that something you like to do, prefer to do?
I prefer to do it because I'm not the fastest scorer, so I'd rather kind of spend time in the crease and then go through the gears rather than having to come in and try and go from ball one.
Are you feeling confident when you went out there?
I was pretty confident because I already took 2 wickets, so I was quite happy anyway. So I just thought, oh God, just bat. Really.
And looking at the scorecard, Dom, you were run out. So what happened there?
Well, I was batting with Tony, and Tony was the one pushing for 2. So I was thinking, why is Tony pushing for 2? And then I realised that there was more chance of me getting back than him because it would have taken him a while to turn around and run back. So I went for it, but yeah, it's just a bit of a waste really.
Now, I should say we've had your dad on here once, and we've had you on here. We've had a bit of a father-son competition between Josh and Chris Barrow. So I think we're going to be having the same now between you and your dad. Who do you think is going to be on here more often?
Well, probably my dad, but depends what leagues we're in. Really, he'll probably be there more often.
We'll watch this space, Dom, and hope to see you again soon. Silky, looking ahead, 6 games again on Saturday, and how are those fixtures looking?
Yeah, some really big games this weekend. And I suppose first and foremost, having had selection last night, it's great to see stalwarts of the club getting back involved and helping the club out on a Saturday. It's one of those this weekend which we don't ever want, but there's a huge number of people away. And when you have a huge number of people away across 6 teams, as I said previously, it has a massive knock-on effect across all of our teams, and potentially the ability to put a 6th 11 out. So legends of the club like Dave Hicks and Lee Ward are coming back and playing some league cricket on a Saturday to help us out. And hopefully with this video and messages that we've sent out, we'll have a few other people who can as well. But away from that, it's an important weekend for the club. The Ones have got a fixture against a team that's in and around them with Lansdowne. It's always a tough game against Lansdowne. They play tough cricket. But our guys, you know, they're working hard. They're doing many things within a game right. When speaking to the captain and the coach, you know, 65–70% of games we're winning. It's just that smaller part of the game which we're not doing as well in, which is having a significant impact on us. So the Ones, hopefully they can get back to some winning ways. The Twos have got a big one, recognising the position in which the Twos are in currently. We're playing against a team below us in the league. So it's a game that we very much want to win away at Go Taker. The Thirds have also got a bit of a crunch game in terms of their playing against bottom of the table, and in recognising where we want our Threes to be, recognising that they're in a tough division at the start of the season. You know, to play against those and hopefully walk away with a victory from that is quite significant. The Fours have started remarkably well, so that they've booked the trend in the club at the moment, and they're sitting top of the table, and Pete Lakeland's Barmy Army is doing brilliantly well, and they've got a game that they'll fancy very much so, playing against a team in the bottom half. So that's all very good. And then the 5s and the 6s have got more challenging fixtures this weekend against teams in the top half, but I'm sure with some wise heads and some young ability that we've got, we should have a positive weekend.
Big games, like you say, and we'll see how that legend status stands after the weekend.
Wardy, I'm looking forward to hearing how both your batting, your bowling, and your body holds out. So it's all 3 things for you, mate.
The latter one probably being the most important. Good stuff. Well, yeah, big games, and we'll catch up next week, hopefully with a few more wins under the belt as well. Cheers, Silky.
Yeah, superb. Cheers, Wardy.